Hello everyone, welcome to another one of E's project. In this project, we're going to be building this good looking pilot style watch. Let's first take a look on the part that we need in order to build this watch. From left to right, first you need an NH35 movement, followed by pilot style, dial, and a stainless steel case. Next, you will need the leather strap. In this case, I have it with the clamps. You can get it with the one that comes with the buckle if you wish. And finally, you will need a good looking set of hands. These hands came with the dial itself. However, later on I found out the minute hand wasn't working, so I had to swap it out. The dial came prepared and ready for the NH35 movement itself. Usually when you buy the dial, it comes with several foot pins that you probably have to take off and grind it off in order to fit into the movement itself. But in this case, we don't need to do anything, and it's ready for you to just slap it on. Here you can see after you line up the pinhole, you can just push it in. It's quite straightforward. Just make sure everything click in and be gentle so that you don't damage the dial or scratch it. And here you go. Give it a good inspections, making sure that everything is set in place correctly. Now we're gonna get ready, try to install the hands. So we're gonna start with the hour hand. And in this project, like I said earlier, I started up using the hands that came with the dial itself, but unfortunately later on you can see I'll be struggling to put on the minute hand itself. I believe the hand itself came defective, and oftentimes the dial, the hands, they are painted. They have paint that it's kind of overflow into the attachment hole itself that caused this problem. So here you see that I try to just hand attach the hour hand first. You can see me struggle a little bit here and there, and later on you're gonna notice that I make a big mistake, and in this video finally you're gonna be able to see how I detach the hand and then restart the whole process again. What you see here, basically I'm trying to use the hand press tool. Try to do my best using this chip tool to press the hour hand into the hour wheel that is on the movement. After you think you have the hand attached, give it a spin, make sure it clear the dial. The indexes of this dial is flat, it is just printed numbers, so the chances of the hand touching it is very minimal. Here you can see that I'm gonna try to do past the midnight. Some of you might have noticed that my midnight is way off. I don't know what happened there. Ideally it should have the date should have flipped over at 12 o'clock, but in this case it flip over at 3 o'clock. And here you can see that using the hand remover tools, the plastic itself is put in to protect the dial from being scratched. And here I'm attempting it for the second time. Okay, now I'm gonna give it another spin and making sure that it is clear from not touching anything. And here we're trying to flip over to the midnight. Alright, once you are sure you flip over to midnight, and we're ready to attach the minute hand. And from this point onward, I'm going to try to save you from the pain of me experiencing the multiple attempts on how to attach my minute hand. You can see that I have tried all the approaches I have, and at one point I actually tried to expand the hole, and then I think that's how I damaged the paint on the hand itself. So I'm going to just fast forward a little bit here, and you can see all the pains that I'll be facing. And here you're about to see my frustrations, and you can see I just completely give up. And then here, after taking a break, you can see that my gloves is looking a little bit different. And then I'm coming back with the new set of hands that you saw previously in the inserts of the video. Now I'm trying to be super careful to making sure that the tools tips is set to the correct size. And here I'm gonna try to set the our hand again. I think the accidents actually turned out to be pretty good, because I kind of really like this hand, this set of hands, compared to the one that you saw earlier, the one that came with it. And then this make it looking even more vintage. And this time I think I have a little bit better luck with that. Most of the time it's only just one attempt to get the hand set in place. And also notice that the hands that are not painted, in this case you can see that it is just metallic silver, original material. They are polished, and you can see that it is much easier to attach, because the tolerance of the holes itself is a lot more better than after it is being painted. And here you can see that I'm trying to make sure it is set in a level, and then give it a spin again. And with a date watch like this, you want to making sure that every time you set the hand itself, you want to make sure that it is done at 12 o'clock, as such that every time when it is 12 o'clock, it is indeed the hands are lined up. It will be kind of annoying if your 12 o'clock is a little bit off here and there. And here I am trying to set the minute hand. And you can see that I'm trying to use a technique where I use the press itself, the tool tips itself first, using my hand to set it first, and then put it back to the hand press, such that it will give me a much more precise vertical movement. For a movement like this, even though you're not exactly at 12 o'clock, which is okay, because normally the date flip over give and take 10 to 5 minutes before or after midnight. So in this case, just a tiny bit off is okay. So you can see I'm trying to double check, making sure the minute hand clear the hour hand, and give it a spin, and then wait for the date to flip over around midnight here. And you can see that. Okay, and then from there, now we're gonna be getting ready to attach the second hand. Now, the second hand is a very small attachment on it. It's basically a little needle pin that has to go into the hour, the minute hand itself. But I find that it is actually a lot more simpler. What you do is you want to raise your table to your eye level and then kind of feel the pins sort of catch the hole on the second hand itself, and then just push it in, and then you don't need to do much. Once it's set into it, and that thing should be ready. Here you can see I'm trying to use the hand press again, try to making sure everything is pressed in properly and it's level. And the next thing is try to engage the watch itself and see the second hand start ticking here, which is a good news. Again, at this point you want to make sure all the hands clear each other, and then give the watch a few wind, and then give it a few spin, making sure all the hands are properly attached. Nothing's gonna fall off from there. Alright, at this point I'm gonna just let the watch sit a little bit and then get ready for the next step. It's important every step that you are working with the dial and hands, you want to make sure you don't scratch it, you don't leave any smudges behind, any debris or dust on it, because it's gonna annoy you a lot once this is put in the case itself. I sort of pre-prepared the case a little bit prior to this. I found out that it is less stressful in the build process, especially when you try to take the video of it. And I think it's much easier if I prep the case a little bit and do some final cleanup at the end of it before I put the movement into the case itself. And notice that the case back itself, when you open it up, there is a gasket. The gasket, later on you need to take it out and grease it. Yeah, you can see that I'm doing some final cleanup to make sure it is really dust free. Also, you may also notice that the case back itself is transparent. So this style of case is called exhibition case. So you can see the movement from the front as well as on the back. What I'm using here is basically a lens pen. You can get it from AliExpress or Amazon, and it's used to clean dust or lint or hair off of your camera lens or the sensor. In this case, it is perfect for cleaning up the watch case itself. What you're seeing here is I'm getting ready to take out the temporary crown and stem. You need to push a little notch in on the movement itself in order to disengage the stem. Alright, here we are getting ready. Try to put the movement into the case, but before you do that, you want to unscrew the crown. Make sure you pay attention to how tight it is that this crown can be screwing, so that later on when you are trying to put on the permanent stem, you know that how close it is supposed to be. And after you put the movement in, you want to making sure that the date itself is sitting at 3 o'clock and aligned precisely with the crown position also. Nothing will annoy you more by from looking at the watch where it is sort of crooked, where the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock don't line up with the watch case itself. And most of the watch, after you put it in there, it can give you some uh, opportunity to just spin a little bit. And most of the time, the whole thing are hold together by the, as the stem itself, as well as the case bake itself. Here I'm getting ready, try to uh, uh, get the stem and the permanent crown ready. What I'm doing here basically just screw it in there and then attach back to the movement and then measure the length of the stem that I need to cut. You can see that I'm just using the cutter itself, very gently hold on to the stem and then try to tighten the crown to the stem itself. Normally the stem, you can push it into the movement without pushing the release again. I'm not sure what I did wrong. No matter what I do here, the stem just refuses to go in. So I give it a little bit gentle push and then see it will engage. Try to be very gentle here. We're dealing with a lot of small parts, and the slips of your tools can poke into the movement and break it. So here is how I demonstrate to you how far you need to cut this, but sometimes you want to be safe. If it's the first time doing this, you can probably cut it from the longest point first. But in this case, I'm actually trying to cut it as little as possible, and so that I don't make a mistake. If you're starting this hobby, I recommend that you get a few extra stems because you never know when you need them. They're really cheap, $2 or $3 can get you 5 or 10 of them. Here you can see I'm unscrewing it from the stem again, and then I'm going to figure out how much I'm going to cut. The actual measurement was around 8.2 millimeters. You can see that I started with half of it just to be safe. And it's good to that you hold on to the stem when you cut it. This thing, when you cut it, it will fly all over the room, and you don't want this thing to fly into your watch or something. And next, you can see that what I'm doing here is use my Dremel to grind it down a little bit. You don't want to have anything on the stem itself that will cause it to damage the crown thread later on. It's very hard to find a matching crown once you damage it. Once again, you can use the cutter itself to hold it. You can see that sometimes edges will not go into the crown. So what I did was I took out a nail filer and give it a few file there, and then you can see that once it is done correctly, it should be able to go into the stem easily. Now let's give it another try and see. Ideally, it is should be long enough as such that when you first unscrew the crown, it will pop out and let you wind the watch easily. If it is too short, it will not disengage, and then when you wind it, it will screw the crown back again. And here you can see that this is way too long still. So you will need to repeat the process again, and then just cut it, sand it, and make sure it fit into the crown. Alright, you can see this, a better luck this time. The stem went into the movement easily, and then you can see that it can be tightened, but you can see that it's still kind of half a millimeter off there. And this is where you want to really pay attention to fix it, because if that crown is not screwing to the post tight, that's where moisture and water is going to get into it, and then you don't want that to happen. Here you can see that I'm demonstrating another technique I learned from the web, where you can use the end of your tweezer to hold on to it. And then here I'm repeating the process. Give it a tiny snip and then grind it down again, and then we try it again. And you can see the whole thing just slide into the place, and you can see that I can also now tighten the crown easily. From there, you want to give it a good inspections, make sure the whole thing sit inside the case lever, and then unscrew the crown and see how it goes. Here I pulled out different positions. The first position is for adjusting the date. The second position is for adjusting the watch itself. I'm giving another try to making sure that the crown is going to screw in properly and no gaps. And you can see that the crown sit very close, perfectly to the case. Now let's see, give it some cleanup. Since this part of the watch will be also visible, I'm using the radical to just take any smudges away. The radical party is perfect for watch builder because it leaves no residue behind whatsoever. And here I'm getting the gasket itself that I put away earlier, apply some silicone grease to it, and then put it back to the groove where the gasket is supposed to sit. It is important that you set the gasket correctly so that it won't be pinched whatsoever by the case back when you put it back in. So give the case back final cleanup, and then we should be ready to screw the case back into the case itself. Again, you can use the lens pen itself to clean up any dust and debris, leaves or hair that stuck to the case itself. So a lot of time you don't really need a special tool to tighten the case back. A rubber ball like this, it's for $1, maybe even less. It looks very similar to children's toy, I think. Can be used to tighten the case back itself. And here you are. I think this is a very good looking watch. And the problem with the hands itself really pay off. I think this hand look, making the watch itself look have good vintage feel to it. Alright, next you're gonna see me demonstrating to you on how to change or set the time and date correctly on this type of watch. So here you can see that I set the date a day before the day that I want to set my time to, because you can't really tell when is AM PM. You know it is AM when the date first stopped to flip over to the next day after 12 o'clock, which is midnight. As you can see that we are about to approach midnight. It's switching over to from 23rd to the 24th, and you can tell now this is the AM. So depending on what time you're trying to set the time to. If it is PM, you need to let the hour hand pass by 12 o'clock again. Now we are in PM, so I believe the time that I was trying to set to is right around 3:07 p.m. on the 24th. So once you're done with that, now you can screw the case, the crown itself back to the case, and that's pretty much it. Your watch is set, and with a proper one, and if you're wearing it, you will never run out of the power that is used to run. So the strap that I'm getting comes with the push pin that you can use your hand and finger to disengage it. But the case itself also comes with the spring pin itself. This pin is rather difficult to take it out. I'm gonna have to bring out my big guy to do it. Here you go. All right, we are on the final stretch of trying to get this watch done. So I'm not sure you ever pay attention which side to put which part of the strap. Just remember, if you're looking at the watch straight on, the short one should always go on the top. In this case, is the one with the clasp itself, and they go on the top, and the long strap should go on the bottom. I found out the best way to set this kind of strap is just put one side in and then slide the other side in and just gently move it around until you see the click into the pin hole itself. And here you have it. I think this watch is pretty much done at this point. And then the next thing you need to do is to adjust the strap to the size of your wrist. Personally, I'm not a big fan of a clasp style strap. It looks nice and kind of easy to put on, but nonetheless, it's kind of bulky. Alright, here comes the most satisfying part of any build, peeling off the plastic of your watch strap. And we are almost done. This watch can go with any day-to-day wear. And if you like this content video here, please make sure you subscribe, and then it will help me to produce more content like this. Until next time, God bless you.